Welcome back to Trust Your Eyes. It was only a few days ago I was saying that there was nothing going on this off-season and pre-season, and all of a sudden a lot of important stories have come up that we need to talk about. So in today's show, we'll go over Joel Smith's 2-year ban, we'll react to Will Day's injury, then we'll go through some topics in big or small deal, and finish off with Michael Voss's new contract. Let's get into it. The major news of the past few days was that Joel Smith is facing at least a 2-year suspension for testing positive to cocaine after a round 23 game against Hawthorn. The SIA has found him guilty of taking a performance-enhancing drug, and he now awaits the official ban, which he is likely to challenge. What is there to make of all of this? Starting off with the ban itself, I think 2 years is about right. I think 2015 was kind of a similar instance with Lachlan Keefe and Josh Thomas from Collingwood, and they ended up getting 2-year bans. They were taking something called clenbuterol, which is like a weight loss thing, but they argued that they didn't really take it. It's not that relevant at the moment, but with Joel Smith, it's just silly. I put the poll up on the channel, and an overwhelming amount of you guys are probably thinking the same I am, that if you take the chance to do these substances at any point as a professional athlete, then the consequences, if you get caught, are pretty severe, as Joel Smith is finding out. And it's just a shame because he was finally getting his career together. He's about to turn 28 next month, played 12 games last year, including all the finals, mainly as a forward. He's not a star or a superstar of the competition. He can take a big mark. That's his main attribute, his aerial stuff. And it's just a shame because he was getting it together and it looked like he might be part of their forward line solution, especially with no Jake Melksham and Van Rooyen as the key forward, and he's one of their youngest players. I can't really see the ban getting overturned at this point. He's going to be arguing, if we go to like the actual case itself, that he was taking it, I'm supposing, recreationally and not as a performance-enhancing drug. But I don't know if Joel Smith isn't smart or he didn't know this, but cocaine can stay in your system for a while, I guess 2, 3 or 4 days. And that's probably what happened here. So I don't know what he's doing, taking drugs in the middle of the week. That's just, again, silly. I don't know what he's thinking. And so the punishment is right in front of him for that. And then we have to focus on Melbourne because this is just getting ridiculous at this point. Now, we knew this story a while back, but I didn't kind of speak on it. But it's just instance after instance, rumor after rumor. And this is not me saying this. This is other people in the media and club legend like David Schwartz was saying, essentially, where there's smoke, there is fire. And I think there could be a lot of fire here at Melbourne. There's something going on with their culture. No one can come out with specific details, whether it's a group of people or the coach or, again, whatever it is. But they have serious problems at Melbourne. So all we can do now is just wait to see if Joel Smith gets a bigger suspension than 2 years. And then we can just wait and see if he fights it and whether he wins. So it'll be very interesting to see. Bad news for Hawthorn. Not only is their coach still ill, but best and fairest winner Will Day is sidelined with a stress fracture in his foot. The 22-year-old is coming off a career best season, transitioning into the midfield. He is now unlikely for round 1 and will miss most of the pre-season. I must admit, when I saw this news drop, I was taken a bit aback by it because I thought Hawthorn were building quite a lot of momentum into 2024. Thought they had a good draft, good trade period, and then we see Sam Mitchell gets ill. We'll get to that later. And then one of their best players, one of their stars in Will Day, has a stress fracture injury in his foot. So he's going to be out for a very, very long time, in doubt for round 1, which is concerning. Surprise best and fairest winner last year. I thought Newcombe or Sicily would win it, although Sicily missed some games. But Will Day, it proved he made a great move into the midfield, which I don't think a lot of people had him doing at that stage. It would probably have been more this year and the year after that. We thought he would move to a regular on-ball spot. But great averages, 26 disposals per game, 78% disposal efficiency, and chipped in with 6 goals. A very well-rounded player. He's still slight in frame, but very tall, very good aerially, and just an all-rounded, very good midfielder at this stage, despite his slender size. So he's going to miss the pre-season, and when you miss a full pre-season, you're playing catch-up all year, even if you make it to round 1. So suggest Hawthorn probably take their time with this and make sure he's really in good condition before they bring him back, because he has had a bit of an injury past. This could be a good thing for him in a strange way, because he's obviously not going to be on his feet that much, so maybe he can get into the gym and lift some heavier weights and put on maybe 3 or 4 kilograms in this period of time. I think that's possible to build up some strength, so things like this to his upper body and stuff don't happen in the future. So that could be some slight little positive in it that I think he'll be looking at, and so will the fitness stuff. But if there is an area that Hawthorn can cover, it's the midfield. Jai Newcomb's a bull. Connor Nash is even tall. He's one of the tallest midfielders in the game and can tag. Finn McGuinness is the tagger right now. And James Warple made a rebound last year. So they can cover Will Day for now, but we don't want him to miss any more time, because, again, he's coming off a career best year. And this year, he could have gone up another level, and it wouldn't have been a surprise if he was All-Australian. He still could be, but they just have to manage him right and make sure he can get some miles under the legs before the season starts. Up next, we'll go over some topics in big or small deal. Time for big or small deal. In this part of the show, we'll go over some rapid fire topics, and I'll tell you if they're a big or a small deal. So let's get into it. Sam Mitchell will take a phased approach when returning back to Hawthorn after catching a severe case of pneumonia in New York. Is this a big or small deal? This is a big deal. At the start, I would have said it was a small deal, but he seemed to be seriously sick, so I do hope he gets well. And it looks like he's probably going to miss a bit of the pre-season, and hopefully his assistant coaches can do some of the teaching for him. But this is a big deal right now. Jason Horne-Francis is said to be having a good run at pre-season. He had a limited one last year due to leg complications. Is this a big or a small deal? This is a big deal for Port Adelaide. We know Rosie and Butters have leveled up in the last few years. And Horne-Francis didn't have any pre-season last year. He had kind of strange things with his veins and blood vessels, I think, in his legs they had to clear up. So we saw what he did in bursts last year. He got a ton of Brownlow votes, even in some questionable games. But go back to that performance, round 1 against Brisbane in the second half. If Horne-Francis can do that every game, getting in a full pre-season of fitness, watch out. It's a big deal for the competition if he's in that type of form. Clayton Oliver is officially on personal leave from Melbourne's pre-season. Is this a big or a small deal? This is actually a small deal, because I think everyone knew it was coming. Again, I talked about it before, but there's a lot of problems at Melbourne. They've clearly just told Oliver to stay away and try and get better at this stage. This is a small deal. We all saw this coming. Lastly, Kadeen Coleman signed a 2-year extension with Brisbane. Is this a big or a small deal? This is a big deal. This guy has a lot of potential. We saw him just completely dominate and control the game against Carlton in the preliminary final, and he did it to an extent the week after in the grand final for the first half, but he did fade, and that's his biggest problem. I think his fitness levels still aren't at the elite level, but no more Daniel Rich at all, and he's basically the main distributor. So getting him on a 2-year deal, I don't think they'd be paying him a lot of money on this stage. At this stage is a great deal. So well done to Brisbane and him for getting into really good form and earning this deal. So it's a big deal for Brisbane and Kadeen Coleman. To finish off, it was reported on SEN that Blues coach Michael Voss will sign a 2-year extension within the next couple weeks. It will make him Carlton's coach until 2026. Carlton got to a preliminary final last year, indicating they were on the up. So is this deal too short, too long, or just right? I think a lot of people have questioned the decision-making of all the presidents and people on the board at Carlton for really the past couple decades. But I think they got this spot on at this stage for Michael Voss. And we'll look at it both ways. So he did have a great season last year, and Carlton did. He got the team up and going to a preliminary final. But it is only 1 year, and we haven't seen them perform, not just under Michael Voss, but in whole, under expectation. But it was a good enough season to earn a 2-year extension and no more. And again, we go to his record as Carlton coach. It's not bad. 24 wins, 1 draw and 19 losses. So the 2 years is just about right for where Carlton at. The players seem to like him. Some love him. Again, the board, I think, like him. But I do think the fans are close to a lot of them really loving him. I think they like his his attitude, and they like having a coach with the presence and aura that Michael Voss does, and he really has that. Security for both parties. Not that Michael Voss was ever going to leave, but maybe if he had a good season this year, in which he is out of contract, a club like, I don't know, West Coast or whoever might have called in his services. He's grown a lot from Brisbane. He had a pretty bad time there. They didn't play finals to a high level, and they weren't really that good. So he's done well. 2-year deal to 2026 on top of this year. Well done to Michael Voss. It was good to see Carlton getting back to good form last year. So they got this deal just right, and we'll see what happens from this point onwards. Thanks for watching another edition of Trust Your Eyes. Hopefully as the pre-season gets going, we can get some bigger and better stories and expand the show a little bit. I appreciate all of you who have been watching recently. I'll see you all soon.